Officer for ATF's Columbus Field Division, and I'm here to introduce our acting special agent in charge, Thomas Greco, Greco, who will provide a few comments about ATF's efforts to interrupt gun trafficking to the cartels in Mexico. We do have some display items that are weapons of choice for the cartels for you to take a look at. But with that said, I will turn it over to SAC Greco.
Good afternoon. With me today, I have Resident Agent in Charge Christopher Knotts and Special Agent Stephen Tassel from ATF. ATF's primary mission is to reduce violent crime and combat firearms trafficking by cartels and terrorist organizations. While our mission is clear and concise, it is also immense and dangerous. ATF partners with the U.S. Attorney's Offices, Homeland Security Investigations, Customs and Border Protection, and other federal, state, and local partners to accomplish this mission and to prevent Mexican cartels and terrorist organizations from acquiring illegal firearms whose criminal activities put American lives in danger. Cartels rely on specific firearms to facilitate, expand, and protect their criminal enterprise. Over the past 4 years, cartels have infiltrated the United States through the southern border and are operating within our communities. These cartels have established and expanded their networks throughout the United States to carry out their illicit activities such as fentanyl trafficking and human smuggling. ATF has determined that cartels prefer large caliber and or belt-fed rifles, examples of some of which are here on the table, such as the Ohio Ordnance M2 50 caliber, the FN M240 7.6 millimeter, and the FM M249 5.56 millimeter, and the Barrett M82 50 caliber semi-automatic rifle. These cartels and terrorist organizations are often responsible for the most heinous violent crimes affecting the communities and neighborhoods in the United States. Under President Trump's and Attorney General Bondi's leadership, ATF has prevented nearly 9,700 firearms from falling into the hands of dangerous criminals or terrorists. And with that, I'll take any questions. These firearms were seized as part of an investigation in the Columbus Field Division when an individual was arrested who was suspected of conspiring with cartel members and transnational organizations to purchase these weapons and transport them to Mexico for distribution. These were some of the weapons that were seized when that individual was arrested and charged.
So I have a question. So do you have any comparison numbers from last year to this year showing that the investigation is working into collecting these weapons?
So what I can tell you is that as of this year, in fiscal year 2025, ATF has seized 18,286 firearms. That's what these agents are out there doing every single day. They've, in addition to 13,031 firearm parts and accessories, and we're constantly, looking for ways to keep track of those numbers and to investigate those people who would use those weapons and bring them to other countries.
So is that more or less than last year?
So I don't have comparative data from 2024, but I can tell you the numbers from this year.
And so we're here in Columbus, Ohio. Obviously, we're pretty far from the Mexican border. So kind of tell me what agents here in Columbus, Ohio are doing to, help with this, find weapons like this, help keep them, away from the bad guys.
So when firearms are recovered, we trace firearms that are recovered, meaning that we use the serial number data to find out where the firearms were purchased and who purchased them. Based on that data, we look for information that would lead us to believe that several firearms are being purchased, these types of firearms are being purchased, and then we follow up on them and continue our investigation to gather evidence and see if any of these violations are being committed. So it's not only agents who are and investigators who are close to the border who can help in preventing these firearms from being proliferated across international lines. It's really something that everyone can do. It's very it's up to us to contribute no matter where we are to that mission, and a lot can be done from Columbus and other places as well.
So what's next? The weapons have been collected and seized. Do they stay in a secure place? Are they stored somewhere? Are they taken and used for other things?
No, they are secured as evidence, and they will remain secured as evidence for further legal proceedings, trial and any other legal proceedings as evidence of the violations.
And part of your investigations, are they typical, as you said earlier, people working with the cartels? Are they United States citizens? Are they Canadian citizens maybe that is working internationally, or is this kind of more of a local?
It can be anyone. It's anyone who is able to purchase a weapon legally in the United States, who can contribute to purchasing these firearms on behalf of these Mexican cartel members and transnational organization members.
And can you kind of talk about just how dangerous these weapons are? I mean, they're pretty big.
Right. Yeah. So there's a 50 caliber. This large rifle here is 50 caliber. We've got 7.62 millimeter rifles, 5.56 millimeter rifles. These are large caliber weapons, and they have a lot on them. So they are dangerous, and they are capable of being used to affect large amounts of people. So they are dangerous. They are dangerous.
And so, obviously, these weapons are dangerous. They're scary looking. And why is the cartel specifically wanting weapons of these kinds? And then, what do they typically use them for? I mean, what's the purpose?
Violence. That's the simplest answer. Violence. That's like we just pointed out. These are very dangerous weapons. They're large caliber weapons. They're capable of inflicting significant harm in a large capacity. So that's what they're looking for, to protect their trades.
And I overheard that these weapons can also be modified to do other things. Is that correct?
They could. These are semi-automatic versions of the weapons. These are semi-automatic weapons that are used. These function, as they're designed. They can be used. Obviously, they're used for violence. They're very dangerous.
And so, what's the impact of seizing these weapons, taking them away? I mean, I don't know how many you guys got total. I mean, it's obviously not a huge number, and it's not going to be the only ones the cartel is getting. But can you just talk a little bit about even a small number, what the impact of that could be?
Yeah, every time one of these comes off the street, it saves lives. So the impact is saving lives, and any lives saved from one to any number you can think of is a huge impact. So these weapons here on the table, each one of them is capable of a massive amount of violence. So the fact that there are 6 of them here, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. And there are so many more every day that our agents are out working with our partners to seize and take off the street, so that we can continue to have that effect in larger terms.
And so what's next? These weapons were seized. Does the investigation continue until a trial? Does the person who purchased this also get charged with what kind of crime will they?
There are violations for people who knowingly purchase weapons on behalf of others, particularly on those who would use them for violence. Actually, there are 60% of the weapons traced. Excuse me, let me get that right. I'm sorry. 60% of unlawfully trafficked firearms go to convicted felons, and 40% of firearms identified in trafficking as having been unlawfully trafficked were purchased by what we call straw purchasers, who are these people who, like this individual, who purchase weapons otherwise legally, but on behalf of others who are acquiring them for unlawful purposes and violence.
And then what do people here in Columbus need to know? I mean, is there anything that people should be looking looking out for, aware of? How is this, something like this affect the general public?
I think it's if you just remain vigilant, and I think that if they see something that makes them that raises red flags or makes them uncomfortable, to say something. We're always here. We have a tip line. Local, they can call their local police department. They are the Columbus Police Department is a great partner of ours. We just encourage people to speak up and just be vigilant and call attention to something that they just don't think feels right or seems right.
Is part of it awareness too that this can happen anywhere, not just near to the border? It can happen somewhere like Columbus, right?
Absolutely. Weapon sources don't have to be just near the international borders. It can happen anywhere. It can happen here. It can happen mostly anywhere else. So that's why vigilance is so important. And the fact that we make sure that we're aware and we report anything that makes us uncomfortable.
And how often do you collect this amount of weapons?
We're out there working cases like this all the time. We're out there, going after the sources of what become of unlawfully trafficked, unlawfully possessed, unlawfully used firearms.
And these were seized in Columbus, or?
These were seized within the Columbus Field Division. It's an ongoing investigation, so I don't want to be too specific. But they were seized within the Columbus Field Division of ATF in this area. Yep.
Any other questions then? All right, well, thank you very much, and if you need to get some more footage of the weapons, please feel free.
Thank you all. Thanks for coming.